Welcome back, folks, to this Let's Play of Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes. In the last part, we were trapped in a gaseous chamber. Here, we call
Snake,
Otacon.
that's bulletproof glass. You can't break it with an ordinary weapon.
No, it's sorcery.
Can't you open the security lock here?
I'll try. Just hold on for a minute.
Alright, well, there's not really much we can do. But in the meantime, we can avoid taking too much damage by wearing the gas mask and running in circles.
I hacked into security.
Tails.
Snake, I'm opening the door.
I wondered why he's not wearing a shirt. In fact, I don't think he's worn a shirt like the entire time.
Liquid!
I think he just had that leather jacket on, or whatever it was made of.
Did you like my sunglasses? Oh, you'd point a weapon at your own brother?
Why did you disguise yourself as Master?
So I could manipulate you more easily.
I still have no idea what the
You
fucking point
performed
was.
quite well, I must say. Although the boys at the Pentagon are probably saying the same thing.
What the hell are you talking about?
Following orders blindly with no questions asked, you've lost your warrior's pride and become nothing more than a pawn, Snake.
I don't know why, but Liquid looks so
What?
skinny.
Stopping the nuclear launch, rescuing the hostages, it was all just a diversion.
A diversion?
The Pentagon only needed you to come into contact with us. That's what killed the Arms Tech president and decoy octopus.
You don't mean...
That's right. You were sent here to kill us, so they could retrieve Metal Gear undamaged along with bodies of the Genome soldiers. From the beginning, the Pentagon was just using you as a vector to spread Fox Dye.
Fox Dye? It can't be. Are you telling me Naomi was working with the Pentagon?
They thought she was, but it seems that Dr. Naomi Hunter couldn't be controlled so easily.
I still have no idea what the fuck was with Naomi
What?
either.
We've got a spy working in the Pentagon. He reported that Dr. Hunter altered Fox Dye's program just before the operation, but no one knows how or why.
Nobody still knows how or
I
why.
wonder. Maybe they arrested her so they could find out the answer to that.
No doubt. But I had no idea she was motivated by such petty revenge. We still don't know what changes she made to Fox Dye's program. Oh well, doesn't matter. I've already added the Fox Dye vaccine to my list of White House demands.
There's a vaccine?
There must be.
Yeah,
But
otherwise...
that woman is the only one who really knows.
Otherwise you could end up with kind of a
It
problem.
might prove to be unnecessary.
Yeah? Why's that?
You were successful in coming into contact with all of us, so we must have all been exposed to the virus. It's true that the Arms Tech president and decoy octopus were killed by Fox Dye.
I've seen people do things
But
like
Ocelot, myself, and you, the carrier, were apparently unaffected.
but usually they have to use their
Bug in the
hands.
virus's programming?
Could be. In any case, if it doesn't kill you, then I'm not worried either. After all, our genetic code is identical.
So it's true. You and I are...
How would this be the confirmation? And I actually do like the idea of like them tricking an agent into like basically
Yes, twins.
going into a suicide mission.
But we're not ordinary twins. We're twins linked by cursed genes.
Just had a stealth mission.
Les
seems
enfants
strange.
terribles. You're fine. You got all of the old man's dominant genes. I got all the flawed, recessive genes. Everything was done so that you would be the greatest of his children.
Wait, if you have different
The
genes,
only
doesn't that
reason
mean
I
that
exist is so they could create you.
you aren't twins?
So you're saying I'm the dominant one.
Alright, I guess it would be,
That's right. I'm just the
not identical.
leftovers of what they used to make you. Can you understand what it's like to know that you're garbage since the day you were born?
Well, it's not really garbage, it's more like
But I'm
inferior.
the one Father chose.
But it's like even Big
So
Boss's
that's why
best.
you're so obsessed with Big Boss.
Big Boss's worst
Some
could be above the
warped
best
kind of love.
of most normal
Love?
people.
It's hate. His choosing me knowingly to be the inferior one? For this, I want revenge.
That was such
You
a weird
don't
body
even
language.
understand this. You who could kill your own real father.
Because he was in his
You
like
stole my
60s
chance for
or
revenge.
70s, I think.
Now I'll finish the work that Father began. I will surpass him. I will destroy him.
You're just like Naomi.
Well, I'm not like you.
Whirly.
Unlike you, I'm proud of the destiny that is encoded into my very genes.
I like that he actually fired.
You missed your last chance. You'll regret that forever.
You probably should have said that when he closed the cockpit.
Snake! Come! Kneel down and sacrifice yourself to this historic weapon! Consider it an honor, a gift from your brother! Now, you shall bear witness to the demon weapon that will drag the world into the 21st century!
I don't dislike this boss fight, this next coming up boss fight. I think it could have been done a little better, but I do like it. I thought the one in Sons of Liberty was better. Well, of course, I was against a lot of them. And the Shagglehawk fight, I like that I liked how the Shagglehawk handled it, where its two stages were very different. But this one, both the stages are pretty much identical. It's just like the target is different. I would think it would be a little more gradual, unless. Oh wait, no, never mind. I think it's going fast. Now, the one thing I don't really like about the remake about the original in here is that I don't know why, and maybe it's the way this is being shown, but the sense of scale from Snake to Rex
How do I stop it?
is not quite as clear as before. Like it is. It's clear that Rex is a lot bigger than Snake, but in the original, it looked ridiculously bigger. Yeah, I think they just didn't show their. All right. That's a better sign. That's a better angle right there. I love how it essentially has no torso. Seriously, I have no idea what the fuck is in front of them. Alrighty then. Okay. Now at this stage, you can call Campbell and he'll direct you to Emmerich. But I want to
God help us. Metal Gear is moving.
hear what he has to say.
Snake, it's all riding on you now. You've got to stop that thing.
But how?
You'll have to ask Dr. Emmerich, the guy who made it.
I love how he's not like, yeah, I'm not taking advice from you anymore, brother.
Snake, Rex's armor is impregnable. You can't do any damage with the weapons you've got. Rex uses the latest advances in compound armor. The only way you can pierce it is with a high-performance heat round.
So what do I do?
Rex's pilot seat operates exactly like a VR system. It's got multiple sensors connected to a high-tech interface used for the controls. It's completely self-enclosed and shut off from the outside environment.
He's not using his naked eyes.
That's right. So if you could somehow destroy the sensors... Do you see that round plate on Rex's left arm?
Yeah, that thing that looks like a shield.
That's a radome. If you can destroy that thing, it won't be able to use its electronic equipment.
So he'll be blinded.
Yeah. Try to hit that radome with a Stinger missile.
So will that stop it?
No. Rex was designed so it can be controlled manually, too.
Oh, great.
The part that looks like a beak is where the pilot seat is. In an emergency, it will open up. Rex's armor is perfect. You can't destroy it.
You told me that already.
But the interior is a different story.
I get it. First I destroy the radome. That will force him to open up the pilot's.
Shit, how the hell?
If you can shoot a missile into the cockpit, you'll destroy the computer control system.
You intentionally designed it with a weak point?
It's not a weak point. More like a weakness. People and weapons just aren't very appealing without a weakness of some kind. Don't you think?
Well, but
I guess so. I owe you one, Otacon.
I guess I sort of see like his understanding of like, okay, well that shot right there, just the way they start you off, and he is just staring at your blank face. Like that's a good way to do it. But like the idea that without proper flaws, a lot of things are starting appealing as they should be. And I sort of see what they mean there. Although my problem with a character who is often shown in that light, Superman. My problem with Superman is less that he doesn't have any weaknesses, it's more that he kind of comes off like a jerk if you overthink his concept. Like, I don't know, whenever I see Superman, I've had this theory for a while about why his powers are so inconsistent, and it's that he secretly enjoys making his opponents think that they're about to win, and then just to mess with them, he just kicks their ass in 10 seconds. So, like, for a while, I've just thought to myself, man, Superman is a jerk. And, like, now normally, I would say there would be something like, oh, no, it's disproven through this and that. The problem is, I've almost never come across this. And the only time I've ever been able to really enjoy Superman's story is when his opponents are just trolling him. Not like beating him up, not even putting other people in danger, just trolling him. And then like I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the perfect response. So yes, I just beat Metal Gear Rex with no problem at all. I don't know, this fight's a lot less annoying than the PS1 version.
Did that do it?
But at the same time, there's really hardly any challenge in it. It just completely renders your progress null and void.
Damn!
Speaking of the open beak,
Nice try, Snake!
did he inform the pilots about it? Because that would have scared the crap out of them if all of a sudden that thing just opened up. He's like, oh shit, ah, bullets everywhere. My arm, why is it behind me?
Hurry! Get away!
Weird line reading coming up.
Gray Fox!
A name from long ago. It sounds better than Deep Throat.
So it is you.
You look terrible, Snake. You haven't aged well.
You're a living corpse.
I'll send you back to hell!
So yeah, in between our last battle, apparently, Gray Fox got a laser cannon which was mounted on his arm. I gotta wonder when that knife hits and makes something explode, or the sword. That's pretty swag.
Fox, why? What do you want from me?
I'm a prisoner of death. Only you can free
Hey,
me.
careful where you're pointing that
Fox, stay out of this. What about Naomi? She's hell-bent on taking revenge for you.
Naomi.
You're the only one who can stop her.
No, I can't.
Why?
Because I'm the one who killed her parents. I was young then, and couldn't bring myself to kill her too.
I find it hilarious that Liquid
I
in
felt
the
so
background
bad
does not know
that
what the hell he's
I
doing
decided
at
to take
all.
her with me. I raised her like she was my own blood, to soothe my guilty conscience. Even now, she thinks of me as her brother. Fox. Outwardly, we may have seemed like contented brother and sister. But every time I looked into her eyes, I trembled with fear.
So she's secretly Ghost Rider.
Tell her for me. Tell her that I was the one who did it.
There you are!
We're just about out of time. Here's a final present from Deep Throat. I'll stop it from moving.
Oh, I love this scene. This next part is awesome. You know, that thing where he tried hitting the guy with the beak, that's actually a pretty smart idea considering how weighty the whole thing is. And assuming it's strong enough not to bend, that would be just brutal.
In the Middle East, we don't hunt foxes, we hunt jackals. Instead of foxhounds,
We use Royal Harriers! Fox!
how strong is that exoskeleton of yours?
Although the problem with it is like
Are
choosing
you
to put
just going to sit by and watch him
choosing
die?
to put the cockpit right there. No, because then whoever's in there is gonna get like feel the worst G's of his life.
A cornered fox is more dangerous than a jackal!
I don't know why his lips always look purple in that scene. I don't know whether it's just my angle or something. Alright, maybe it's the effect of the blood dripping down his face. I'm assuming the reason he backed off was because he was like, shit, I can't see anything.
He destroyed the radome.
Wait, how can he tell? He's on the right side.
Impressive! You are indeed worthy of the codename Fox. But now you're finished!
Now,
Oh yeah, it is the blood
fire
going
the
down his face.
stinger!
Fox! Can you really shoot? You'll kill him too!
Oh, he's already been dead for years, and he killed him 10 years ago anyway.
Now, in front of you,
It's no good.
I can finally
can't do it.
die.
It's no good.
I can't do it.
It's no good.
I
can't
can't
do
do
it.
it from the battle. Neither truly alive, nor truly dead. An undying shadow in a world of light. But soon, soon it will finally end.
Man, Liquid is a master pilot if he can do that.
Die! Fox!
And if he can even aim that specifically, that's impressive.
Snake, we're not tools of the government or anyone else. Fighting was the only thing I was good at. But at least, I always fought for what I believed in. Snake, farewell. Fox!
Foolish man! when death is entreated.
Oh, he's just trolling him
The
at this point.
battle is decided.
Yeah, you're not gonna find his body and all that. Not in one piece, anyway.
You see, you can't protect anyone. Not even yourself.
That'd have been pretty awesome if he kept it. But as far as I know, there's another time when you visit this section and you cannot find the sword planted into the ground. So I'm assuming that this is non-canon. Like just him planting the steel into the steel floor, which, by the way, is hard as balls.
Die!
The Cyborg Ninja, or Gray Fox, or Frank Yeager, whatever you want to call him. He was the more short-term mystery character of this game, and in many ways he remained mysterious for many. Frank Yeager was born in the early 1950s, which would make him in his early 50s-ish in this game. He spent his young life fighting as a child soldier for the Frelimo in the Mozambican War of Independence. He was known for letting his opponent's guard down by acting with the frankness of a young boy, so that he could more effectively kill them with the ruthlessness of a hunter. This got him the nickname the Frank Hunter by his enemies who had not been killed yet. He also spoke a little German, which led to some of his comrades calling him Jaeger, which is German for hunter, giving him the proper name, Frank Yeager. It's seemingly unknown whatever the hell his birth name was. This was also theorized to be the reason why Naomi chose the name that she did. Throughout the war, Frank killed dozens of government soldiers for the Portuguese regime, until he was stopped by Big Boss in battle, who placed the young man in a rehabilitation facility, thinking he would be safe there. At that center, Frank was taken by the CIA and used as a test subject in the Perfect Soldier project. This resulted in the rapscallion becoming a more efficient and remorseless killer, who had to be kept in a fluid-filled sensory deprivation tank which would reset his memories and suppress his emotions. He was given the code name Null. After that, Portable Ops. Afterwards, Frank participated in the Mozambican Civil War, this time for the Renamo. In one of his missions, he was captured by Frelimo soldiers and was tortured by them, having his nose and ears cut off. He was rescued a few days later by, once again, Big Boss. It was around this time that Frank killed a couple in Rhodesia during the Rhodesian Civil War, before discovering they had a daughter. Feeling guilty, he adopted her and cared for her as a younger sister. In 1980, Big Boss took Frank and his sister to the United States. Later, Frank and Big Boss returned to Africa to continue fighting the war, leaving the girl back in the United States. Later, during the early 90s, Frank became the only active field agent in Foxhound to receive the codename Fox, the highest commemoration in the unit, and was decorated 5 times for his excellent soldier skills. In 1995, Gray Fox was the agent assigned to Operation Intrude N312, where he was to gather data on a top-secret nuclear weapon being developed by Outer Heaven. Despite some early success and that he managed to relay some details of his reconnaissance back to Foxhound, he ended up getting captured. He was later rescued by Solid Snake, at which point he spilled everything he knew about Metal Gear, and they successfully destroyed a Metal Gear prototype under development in Outer Heaven. After this, Frank deserted the Foxhound unit, somehow eventually found Big Boss, who was presumed to be dead, and his loyalty to Big Boss, among other factors, led to Fox helping form Zanzibar Land by becoming an active participant for the Mercenary War. After being very successful in this war, he was assigned as commander of Zanzibar Land's mercenary force, also known as the Dogs of War. In 1999, Gray Fox began raiding nuclear disposal sites with a revised Metal Gear D, which, along with Zanzibar Land's capture of a biologist, led to actions by Foxhound. Snake was pulled out of retirement for this mission, in which Fox had begun transmitting anonymous messages to Snake, claiming to be his #1 fan, in order to get him to overcome certain obstacles and traps. After meeting, and Snake avoiding getting blown up on a bridge, Fox used all kinds of tactics to stop Snake, including sending an assassination squad to kill him after Fox had stopped an elevator, and trapping him in a giant pit. After capturing Solid Snake, for some reason, Gray Fox challenged him to a fight in which Gray Fox was in Metal Gear D, and Solid Snake was on ground level with all of his items. After Snake successfully blew up Metal Gear D, Snake and Fox fought barehanded in a minefield that looked suspiciously a lot like a small room until Gray Fox was supposedly killed. I've always liked Gray Fox as a character, and I love the extra they added to him in this remake. Gray Fox is portrayed as someone with a troubled past, doing the only thing he was ever taught to do with the only familiar person he sees. There's enough of an air and mystery along with the presence of power that makes a good Wolverine-style character. His powers are a bit absurd, but they are reasonable in an advanced sci-fi game, especially considering how he's supposed to be hidden technology. Gray Fox's fight scenes are all expanded in this remake, and I love how intense and visceral they feel. As far as I know, Gray Fox is the only character here to have 3 voice actors over the course of 2 games. Rob Paulsen for the English in the remake, Greg Eagles for English in the original game, once again where he used the alias George Beard, and Kanato Shiozawa in the Japanese version of the original game. Kanato Shiozawa sounds good with a robotic filter over his voice, and his painful scream is really good, but without that filter, his performance doesn't work. He sounds so ordinary, and it doesn't give a good implication of Gray Fox's health and well-being, since he sounds like any guy off the street. I'll admit, he's a little better at sounding sad than the other 2, but his voice doesn't fit the condition of Gray Fox. Imagine a man dying of lung cancer sounding something like Mickey Mouse. With a robotic filter over Greg Eagles' voice, he sounds intimidating in the right kind of way, but there's something very unnatural about the rhythm of his voice. Without the filter, he also does a good job, and his speaking style works with the rhythm of his voice, because it sounds like a dying man on life support. Rob Paulsen in the remake is my preferred actor, though, because he also has the intimidating dying man's voice, but also performs well at emoting during the appropriate scenes like the Japanese voice actor, and without the ordinary guy sound. I've already covered Greg Eagles' work, so I won't talk about him again. Rob Paulsen is another voice actor like Jennifer Hale, who has an enormous and absolutely impressive voicing portfolio. Roles include Yakko Warner in Animaniacs, The Box Ghost in Danny Phantom, Gladstone Ganders in DuckTales, and Pinky in Pinky and the Brain. Enough! Kanato Shiozawa, who sadly passed away in 2000 due to cerebral contusion, has voiced Devimon in the first season of Digimon, Ray in The Fist of the North Star, Zato 1 in the Guilty Gear series, and D in Vampire Hunter D. Gray Fox has appeared in 5 games.
There you are!
Surprisingly, actually having more mobility actually makes it easier for him to hit you, apparently. Okay, so I saw this strategy. Somebody do this strategy once where. Okay, fuck that, because that is hard as hell, and I don't want to waste my stuff. Actually. Okay, wait a minute. Oh shit, I'm too close. You can activate the laser. Fuck. Okay, I don't know whether they removed that or not, but I could have sworn I saw somebody do that once. Alright. I love how he's acting so chill as I fucking blow the inside of his little man cave in there to bits. What? A rocket coming at me? Ah! Ouch. I think I can just in general get 2 solid hits on them. As I've said, I prefer a fight to be easy rather than really annoying. But yeah, this could have been a lot better. Especially considering that this isn't one of those games where it's just like, it's bad or anything. As many flaws I have in the Metal Gear Solid series, they're generally well-designed games. It's just that they have a very poorly chosen narrative direction.
I'll crush you into dust!
I actually really like this effect of Rex stumbling. I don't know why he keeps doing that though. How did it explode all over like that? I mean, we've all seen like movie scenes where cars blow up, but usually those are uniform explosions from one section. Usually it's implied that it's the gas tank underneath the car, but that was like steel catching on fire. Yeah, the steel is catching on fire instead of like the chemicals leaking over the steel, which the chemicals then are lighting on fire.
Hey, Snake?
Liquid, you're still alive.
I won't die. As long as you still live.
Too bad. It looks like your revolution was a failure.
Just because you've destroyed Metal Gear doesn't mean I'm done fighting.
Fighting? What are you really after?
The restoration of the era when warriors such as us lived as we should.
That was Big Boss's fantasy.
It was his dying wish. When he was young during the Cold War, the world needed men like us. We were valued then. We were desired. But things are different now. With all the liars and hypocrites running the world, war isn't what it used to be.
It used to be so much more blood.
We're losing our place in a world that no longer needs us. A world that now spurns our very existence. You should know that as well as I do. After I launch this weapon and get our $1 billion, we'll be able to bring chaos and honor back to this world gone soft.
You're getting a little bit
shall bring
delusional.
Conflict. New hatreds will arise, and our own biosphere shall steadily expand.
But as long as there are people, there will always be war.
This guy's a little off. And I love how he didn't even question whether or not...
Father knew what type of a balance was best.
Like whether or not the weapon can even fire.
Reason?
Isn't that reason enough for warriors such as us?
Then again, they only need the
I
railgun.
don't want that kind of world.
Ha! You lie. So why are you here then? Why do you continue to follow your orders while your superiors betray you? Why did you come here? Well, I'll tell you then. You enjoy all the killing, that's why.
That's actually a pretty solid theory.
Are you denying it? Haven't you already killed most of my comrades?
That was...
I watched your face as you delivered the coup de grace. Oh, it reflected such vitality.
You're wrong.
There is a killer inside you. You don't have to deny it. We were created to be that way.
Created?
Les enfants terribles. The terrible children. That's what the project was called. It started in the 1970s. Their plan was to artificially create the most powerful soldier possible. The person that they chose as the model was a man known then as the greatest living soldier in the world.
Big Boss.
But Father was wounded in combat and already in a coma when they brought him in. So they created us from his cells, with a combination of 20th century analog cloning and the super baby method.
Super baby method?
God, these guys suck at naming things.
They fertilized an egg with one of Father's cells, and then let it divide into 8 clone babies. Then they transferred the clones to someone's uterus, and later intentionally aborted 6 of the fetuses to encourage strong fetal growth.
Not sure if things roll
You
that
and
way.
I were originally octuplets.
Octuplets?
Yes. The other 6 of our brothers were sacrificed to make us. We were accomplices in murder before the day we were even born.
Liquid is pro-life.
It was you and I, 2 fertilized eggs with exactly the same DNA. But they weren't finished yet. They used me as a guinea pig to create a phenotype in which all of the dominant genes were expressed to create you. I got all the recessive genes.
I don't think he understands the concept
everything
of
from me before I was even born.
recessive genes and dominant genes. Dominant genes are just the more common
you
ones.
and I aren't his only children.
What?
The genome soldiers.
Like,
they too are his progeny, carrying on
cleft
his
chins
genetic
and widow's
legacy.
peaks. Those are technically
But unlike
recessive,
us,
done by
they
recessive
carry
genes.
it digitally. With the completion of the Human Genome Project in the last century, the mysteries of humanity were laid bare. Thanks to Father's DNA, they were able to identify more than 60 soldier genes responsible for everything from strategic thinking to the proverbial killer instinct. Those soldier genes were transplanted using gene therapy into the members of the next generation special forces.
One of them...
That's how they became the Genome Soldiers.
And one of them went to Rareware and developed a fighting game.
That's right. The Genome Soldiers that you've been killing right and left are our brothers with the same genes as ours.
The Genome Soldiers?
They are misshapen creatures, artificially produced from Father's genetic pattern. They are our blood brothers, and they were born of many an ultimate sacrifice.
Sacrifices?
Like, how do you genetically alter people, like, once they're still alive?
Human experiments.
Huh?
1991,
That's such a strange idea
the
to me.
Gulf War. The military secretly injected soldiers with the soldier genes. The Gulf War syndrome that hundreds of thousands of returning soldiers complained about was a side effect of it.
Ha! Everyone knows that the Gulf War syndrome was caused by exposure to pesticides and radiation from depleted uranium rounds.
I think they're trying to create, like, a feeling of it could happen.
That
you
was
wouldn't know
just a
it.
cover story issued by the Pentagon. First, they tried to say it was post-traumatic stress disorder, then chemical or biological weapons. The poison gas detection units and the anti-sarin injections, they were all just to cover up the secret genetic experiments.
So then, the so-called Gulf War babies that have been reported by Gulf War veterans are...
Yes, they too are our brothers and sisters.
So the Genome Soldiers mean that the experiments were a success?
Success? Don't be a fool. They're a complete failure. We're on the verge of
I
extinction.
seriously have no idea what the
Have
fuck
you
is up
ever
with
heard
Liquid's
of the
thinking
asymmetry
in this.
theory? Nature tends to favor asymmetry. Those species which have gone extinct all show signs of symmetry.
Somebody pointed
the
out that
genome
this is
soldiers suffer from the
severely
same
flawed
problem,
theory.
signs of symmetry. So do I, as do you.
Especially considering as us as human
That's
beings
right.
actually are attracted
We are all
to
on the verge of death at the genetic level.
things that look
We
more
don't know
symmetrical.
when or what type of disease will occur. That's why we need the old man's genetic information.
You want Big Boss's DNA so you can save your family? It's very touching.
In nature, family members don't mate with each other, and yet
Oh
they
God,
help each
horrible
other to
imagery.
survive. Do you know why? Because it increases the chances that shared genes will be transmitted to future generations. Altruism among blood relatives is a response to natural selection. That we will help our blood relatives is inscribed in our very genes.
You're telling me that your genes are ordering you to save the genome soldiers?
Well, when you put it that way, it
You
sounds
can't
completely
fight your
insane.
genes. It's fate. All living things are born for the sole purpose of passing on their parents' genes. That's why I'll follow what my genes tell me. And then I'm going to go beyond in order to break the curse of my heritage. And to do that, first, I will kill.
Yeah, Liquid is out of his fucking mind.
Look behind you.
And not even in the sense where, like, his leaps and logic don't make any sense. Like, it's the logic itself that makes no sense at all. Like, it's like A, B equals to C, and it's like, what the fuck?
Is she alive?
I'm not sure. She was alive a few hours ago. Poor girl kept calling your name.
Meryl.
Stupid woman. Falling in love with a man who doesn't even have a name?
I have a name.
No. We have no past, no future. If we did, our fate is nothing but what is determined in the genes we inherited from our father.
I think they're taking it a little too far by consistently referring to, like,
as soon as we finished our business, we're almost out of time.
I know this is supposed to be, like, related to the idea of destiny, but
no.
It seems a little.
It seems now that the Pentagon knows that Metal Gear is destroyed. They've arrived at a decision. They won't even need a BDA. If you want the details, why don't you ask your precious Colonel Campbell?
Has he been listening in on, like, conversations that have been going on since he was passed out?
Colonel, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm listening.
What is the Pentagon trying to do? Colonel, answer me.
The Secretary of Defense has taken over active control of this operation. He's on his way there by AWACS.
That's a funny acronym.
To bomb the place.
What?
Not only that, B-2 bombers just lifted off from Galena Air Force Base. They're carrying B-6113 surface-piercing tactical nuclear bombs.
What? Metal Gear is destroyed. Tell the Secretary of Defense.
The Secretary of Defense heard that Naomi double-crossed us, and he's worried about Fox Die. Now that there's no more danger of a nuclear strike from Metal Gear, he's going to do whatever's necessary to cover up the truth of what really happened here.
He's going to drop a nuclear bomb to vaporize all the evidence, along with anyone who knows anything.
Don't worry, Snake. I'll stop the nuclear strike.
How?
I may be only a figurehead here, but I'm still officially in command of this mission. If I issue an order to delay the strike, it'll confuse the chain of command and at least buy you some time. It'll give you a chance to escape.
But Colonel, if you do that...
It's okay, Snake. The truth is, Foxhound was already the subject of an undercover investigation. Merrill was transferred to this base just before the terrorist attack as a way of manipulating me.
So they knew they were going to do that?
I'm sorry. They forced me to cooperate in exchange for her life. You'd better get out of there, Snake.
Are you
then
sure?
what do they not have control? This is fucking confusing.
Don't worry. It's the least I can do for you after all the lies.
Colonel.
I'm ordering them to cancel the bombing run. After that, there's no turning back. Huh? What are you doing?
Probably should have put those into separate areas.
Snake!
Mei Ling, what happened to the Colonel?
I don't believe it!
What happened?
Snake, the Colonel!
Roy Campbell has been relieved of duty. This is the Secretary of Defense, Jim Houseman.
Put the Colonel back on.
He's been placed under arrest for leaking top-secret information and for the crime of high treason.
Ridiculous.
Yes, he is a ridiculous man.
This is like the most unnecessarily over-smug voice in the world.
He was in command of this operation.
You bastard.
There won't be a speck of evidence left. I'm sure the President would want the same thing.
The President ordered this?
The President is a busy man.
I love how they're completely over-showing how much authority the President of the United States has.
A nuclear attack on Alaska to the media?
Don't worry. We've prepared a convincing cover story. We'll simply say that the terrorists exploded a nuclear device.
Damn it! You'll be murdering everyone
Oh,
here.
that's kind of his way of saying, shit, that was a good explanation.
Army, everyone.
Donald, the DARPA chief is already dead.
So you didn't mean to kill the DARPA chief after all.
He was my friend.
And you could care less about what happens to everybody else, huh?
Well, if you give me the optic disc, I might consider saving them.
What are you talking about?
Metal Gear's test data. Donald was supposed to bring it back.
I don't have it.
I see. Oh well, that's okay. You two are an embarrassment from the 1970s.
Along with so many other
dirty
embarrassing
little
things from that
secret.
time.
You can't be allowed to live. You're just the lingering ghosts of a system that is no more. Well, do try to get along in the time you have left before the bomb.
This voice is funny.